Hello. Today we'll talk about finding and fixing the bottleneck in your revenue engine. I was advising a company that was stuck at about $20 million in revenue. And they had been stuck for about 2 years and they couldn't break through. They had plateaued. And they tried everything. They tried marketing, spending on marketing. They hired salespeople. They had added a new CRM. They embraced a new sales method, but nothing really moved the needle. So when I came and I asked a very simple question, where are the deals getting stuck right now? It turns out that 60% of their deals were dying in the proposal stage. 60%. Sales was having great conversations, but when it came time to send a proposal, it took 2 weeks. And by then the customer had gone cold or they went to a competitor. So the bottleneck was not leads in this case. It wasn't salespeople. It was simply a broken proposal process. So we fixed that one thing. And within 6 months, they broke $25 million run rate. And that is the power of finding the real constraint. You can throw resources at a dozen things and get nowhere. Or you can find that one thing that is actually holding you back and fix that. I'm Hindal, and today I want to show you how to find and fix the bottleneck in your revenue system. So let's get into it. In an earlier video, I talked about revenue systems as a whole, but why most of the improvements don't work. I'm going to get into more of the details today. And before we talk about finding the constraints that I spoke of earlier, let me explain why most improvement efforts fail. Companies, they love to improve things. That's great. New initiatives, new tools, new processes. Everyone is busy. Everyone is working on something. But here's the thing. If you improve something that isn't the bottleneck, you won't see results. You will just have a faster non-bottleneck. The system output will remain the same. So let me give you an example. Say your revenue system look like this. The marketing, they generate 1,000 leads a month, 1,000 leads a month. And sales can only handle 500 and success can onboard 400. What do you think the constraint is? Is it sales? They can only process 500 leads even though marketing is generating 1,000. Now what happens if you invest in making marketing even better? They generate 1,500 leads instead of 1,000. Does revenue go up then? No. Why not? Because sales still can handle only 500 and those extra leads, they just pile up or they get ignored or you have spent money but you haven't improved output. Okay. So what happens if you invest in customer success? They can now onboard 600 instead of 400. Does revenue go up? No, because sales is still only closing enough deals to fill 400 or 500 onboarding slots anyway. So success has extra capacity but nothing to use it on. So the only way to improve output is to improve that constraint. In this case, that means improving sales capacity or efficiency, or for that matter, in the first example, improving customer success onboarding capacity. This is why companies can invest in a lot of things and see no results. They're improving what? They're improving the non-constraints. It feels productive, but it doesn't move the needle. So how to find the constraint? How do you actually find this constraint is a very important component. Let's go through some practical methods. What do you do? First thing is look for the pileup. Where is work accumulating? Where are things waiting? In a factory, you look for inventory piling up between machines. That's very simple, very visible. In revenue operations, you look for leads piling up, deals stalling, or customers waiting. And if you have 1,000 MQLs sitting untouched, the constraint is probably sales capacity or the handoff process. If you have lots of closed deals waiting for implementation, the constraint is probably on onboarding. Follow the pileup. Method 2, look at the conversion rates. Map out your funnel stages and look at where the biggest drop-off happens. Lead to MQL, 20% conversion. Now that's normal. MQL to SQL is 10% conversion. Now that is low. SQL to opportunity is 50% conversion. Okay. So the opportunity to close is 30% conversion. Also okay. So in this example, the MQL to SQL conversion stands out. Something is wrong there. Either the MQLs are not qualified or the sales is not following up properly or the handoff process is broken. And that's probably your constraint. Method 3, look at the cycle times. How long does each stage take? If one stage takes way longer than it should, That is often the constraint. Look at the average time from lead to MQL, 2 days, okay. Average time from MQL to SQL, 15 days. Now that seems long. An average time from SQL to a close, 30 days. That could be normal for the business, but imagine if it's 45 or 60 days. Well, then you're pushing your luck. That 15-day MQL to SQL time is a red flag. Why does it take so long? Is sales not following up quickly? Is the qualification process too complicated? Now, that's worth investigating, isn't it? Method 4, ask people, talk to your team. Where do they feel stuck? What frustrates them? Who's always waiting on something else? People on the front lines often know exactly where the problems are, even if they don't call it a constraint. So the 5 key focusing steps that you need to consider. Once you have found your constraint, what do you do about it? And there's a simple framework I use called the 5 focusing steps. And it comes from the theory of constraints. Step 1, identify the constraint. We just talked about this. Find out where the bottleneck is. Step 2, exploit the constraint. This means getting the maximum possible output from the constraint without spending money. Remove anything that wastes time at that constraint point. Make sure it's never sitting idle. Protect it from interruptions. For example, if your sales is your constraint, stop making them do admin work. Give them better tools. Make sure they have everything they need to spend maximum time selling. Step number 3 is subordinate. I emphasize this, subordinate everything else to the constraint. This means adjusting other parts of the system to support the constraint, not overwhelm it. If sales can handle 500 leads a month, don't have marketing dump 1,000 on them. It just will create chaos. Match the pace of non-constraints to the pace of the limited constraint, of the constraint. And this might feel counterintuitive to you, but it feels wrong to slow down marketing when they could generate more leads, but flooding the system doesn't help. It actually hurts, because sales will often get overwhelmed and the quality suffers. Step number 4, elevate the constraint. Now you can spend the money. Now you can add the capacity. Now you can hire more AEs, salespeople. You can invest in tools and make them more productive. This is expensive, so you do it only after you have exploited and subordinated. And step number 5, go back to step number 1. Once you've elevated the constraint, it might not be a constraint anymore, and something else becomes a bottleneck. Find it and repeat the process. And this is what I call continuous improvement. You're always looking for the next constraint in this map. You are never done. You want to get to a point where the market becomes the ultimate constraint, but that's a different case study. Let me walk you through a real example to make this very concrete. A SaaS company was struggling with growth. Marketing was generating plenty of leads. Sales team was busy, but revenue was flat. And we mapped the funnel. And here's what we found. Marketing, they were generating close to 2,000 MQLs per month. 2,000 MQLs per month, imagine that. And sales was only accepting about 800 as SQLs. They were creating about 200 opportunities. They were closing about 40 deals. And the biggest drop was MQL to SQL. Biggest drop was from MQL to SQL. Only 40% of MQLs were being accepted by sales. When we dug in, we found out why. Sales did not trust the MQLs. They said most of them were garbage. So they cherry-picked the ones that they thought looked good and ignored the rest. And that was a constraint, not lead volume, not sales skill. It was a handoff between marketing and sales, and that was completely broken. Step 2, exploit. We fixed the MQL definition. Marketing and sales agreed on stricter criteria. Lead volume dropped from 2,000 to 1,200, but quality went up dramatically. Step number 3 is subordinate. Marketing shifted focus from volume to quality. They changed their campaigns to attract better fit leads instead of just more leads. Step 4, elevate. We invested in better lead scoring tools and a short SDR qualification call before passing it on to sales. So what happened? The result, the MQL to SQL conversion went up from 40 to 70%. More importantly, these SQLs closed at a higher rate. Revenue started growing again. The point is, we didn't fix everything. We found the one thing that mattered most and we fixed that. And one of the things that we need to do is we need to avoid those common traps. And what am I talking about? Let me share some of the traps to avoid. Trap number one, assuming you know the constraint without looking. You know, a lot of execs, they have a pet theory. Oh, our problem is we need more leads. Or our problem is, sales execution. Maybe. But look at the data. Look at the data first. The constraint is often not where you expect. Trap two, trying to fix everything at once. I know it's tempting. You see problems everywhere. But spreading your energy across 10 different initiatives is not going to help you. It means none of them will get done well. Pick the constraint. Focus there. Trap number three, elevating before exploiting. Don't throw money at the problem before you have gotten a deeper understanding of what the problem is. Before you have gotten everything you can from what you have. Hiring more salespeople doesn't help if your current salespeople are wasting half their time on admin work. Trap number four, forgetting to subordinate. If you fix the constraint but keep flooding the system with more inputs, you just create new problems. So match the flow, create that flow, keep the system balanced. That's a very important statement. Keep the system balanced. Trap number five, declaring victory too soon. When you fix one constraint, another one emerges. That's normal. That's a process. Keep looking, keep improving. That's the world of continuous improvement. So what are the key takeaways from this particular session? And I would leave you with three very key takeaways. Number one would be that the only way to improve system output is to improve the constraint. Investing in non-constraints, they might feel productive to you, but it doesn't move the needle. Find the real bottleneck first. Number two, use the 5 focusing steps that I spoke about. And what are they? You identify the constraint, you exploit the constraint, you subordinate the constraint, you elevate the constraint, and then you go on a repeat mode. Get maximum value from the constraint before spending money. Align everything else to support it. And number three, the constraint will move. Once you fix one bottleneck, another emerges somewhere down the line, upstream or downstream. That's not failure, that is progress. Keep finding the next constraint and keep improving. And this is how you build a revenue engine. This is how you build an efficient GTM engine that keeps getting better and better in time. Not by fixing everything, but by fixing the right thing at the right time. Thanks for watching. In the next video, I'm going to explain what commit means in sales language, one of the most misunderstood terms in revenue world. I look forward to seeing you at that session. Take care. Bye-bye.